My personal brand has landed me a book contract, sent me all over the world doing speaking gigs, won me multi-5-figure contracts everywhere, and has landed me a spot as a university lecturer and an MBA lecturer. So your personal brand can open up a world of opportunities, but the problem is people don't understand what personal branding is and they're getting it all wrong. This video is designed to simplify personal branding, to demystify what it is, and to show you how simple it is to build your personal brand this year and to open up this world of opportunities while ignoring all the formulaic crap that's out there and all these templates and like things that you need to do that are just pure cringe. So listen up, I'm going to tell you how to build your brand in
2025.
So people think that personal branding is essentially what you post on social media because it became this big buzzword during the pandemic when everyone was spending so much time online. But personal branding has been around for years. It's not a new concept. It's just that everyone is now talking about it. The problem is, like, if you think about what personal branding is, take the actual words, personal brand. So branding is already got a misconception because people don't even know what company branding is. I've been running a creative agency for several years and done branding for so many companies. And do you know the amount of people that come to me and say that branding is just a logo, or maybe it's your colors and fonts and a push? They don't actually understand what branding is. So your personal brand is essentially the same thing you would do for a company, but just for you personally. So it's so much more than just some colors and things like that. Now with personal branding, people think it's just what you post on social media, but it is so much more than that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what your personal brand is and how you can develop it. So personal branding is essentially how you manage a reputable identity for yourself online, showcasing who you are, what you stand for, as well as your expertise and all the things that you're great at. And yes, you could have a website, your social media, and have this amazing online presence to showcase that your portfolio and everything you're great at. But essentially the fundamentals of your personal brand are your values, like what you believe in and, you know, what's unique to you. People say USP in business, but it is that, but it's also just what makes you unique, because that's personal, that's your personal brand. If you can tap in what makes you different to everyone else and what you're great at, then you're already going to be way ahead of everyone else, because you're going to use that thing that only you're great at, that you're the best in the world at, and that's being you, right? And showcase that to the world, and no one else can compete with you because that's your unique thing. So by showing up with consistent messaging and your tone of voice, talking to the people you want to talk to, putting the content out there, consistently doing that, essentially you are building your personal brand. And this doesn't mean just online. This can be offline too. So a lot of your personal branding stuff is to do with the connections you make in real life or talking on a stage at speaking gigs and things like that. So all of this helps you encompass your personal brand. So many entrepreneurs I work with think that personal branding is cringe. And I get why, because if you look at all the advice out there, like from these personal branding gurus, they're giving you templates that you need to do. They're telling you viral success stories, and they're showing you all the things that you're supposedly have to do to build your personal brand in 2024. But these things are cringe. And if you're doing them and you feel cringe, then maybe it's because you're not really being you. And at the end of the day, your personal brand needs to be authentically you. And yes, I know the word authentic has completely lost all meaning in this day and age, but if you don't feel comfortable doing something, then it's probably not what you should be doing. Now, I am all up for people pushing themselves out of their comfort zone because everyone needs to do this. But if you inevitably feel like you should not be doing this and this is not for you and it's not the right thing, then maybe it isn't. And your personal brand is really all about being true to who you are, your values. And if you're finding stuff cringe, then don't do it. Don't do what that they're telling you to do, and find something that actually you can get on board with. At the end of the day, you should be putting out content that reflects who you are, reflects your beliefs, reflects your values, so you can attract those who also have those same sort of values with you. So I think investing time in building your personal brand is totally worth it. But what I think is that people shouldn't be seeing it as a separate thing from promoting their company brand, for example. That a lot of people have a marketing budget for their business and they're happy to spend money on marketing and building up stuff for their company brand. But why is it any different? They should not be seen as like, oh, let's do company brand marketing and personal brand marketing. They should go hand in hand. For example, even if you're at a business networking event and you go somewhere and someone's asking, what do you do? Sure, you talk up your company, you talk about your products and your services, but they're talking to you. They're listening to how you come across. Like, they're listening to what you believe in, what your values are, and the type of person you are, whether you listen to them, whether you're trying to help them, like, you know, and you're also doing your own personal branding in that. That's what you've got to realize. So in that moment, while you're also promoting your company brand, you're also promoting your personal brand. So they should go hand in hand. Add it into your company marketing strategy. So for example, if you're then doing a campaign to promote your company brand, you can then share that from your personal page and talk about it from your opinion about what you think, or why you've chosen to go down this route, or why you're proud to work with such and such client. And, you know, build up your own voice and your own thought leadership on these topics. They can go hand in hand. They don't need to be a completely separate thing. I think the more we keep building up as this really intimidating thing that personal branding is, the more that it becomes overwhelming and daunting. But actually, if we realize it's just another component of overall branding, then I think it becomes a lot easier. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my personal brand brings in a lot of opportunities. I mean, even creating this YouTube channel is all part of building my personal brand. And sure, it's a brand new channel and, you know, not going to bring in opportunities yet, but who knows where these opportunities will come in later down the line if this channel blows up, or even if not. It only takes one person to bring you a brilliant opportunity to make it all worthwhile. So what would be my advice to people who are trying to build a brand right now? Well, I think the first question is to ask, where are your target audience? Now, I'm not saying who, because I presume you already know who your target audience are. And if you don't, you probably need to rewind a little bit and talk about who your target audience are. But I want to say where for a start, because people don't think about this. People are consistently talking about which channels they should be using. Like, you know, why are, you know, I'm doing this on YouTube, but, you know, I've done a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, but, you know, shouldn't I be on TikTok because videos are huge on TikTok now? Shouldn't I be on wherever? And the question is, where are your target audience? So who are you talking to? Because if your target audience are using one platform in particular, then that's where you should be hanging out. So for example, if you're in the, you know, health and beauty industry, like, you know, that sort of stuff, then you're probably going to be on Instagram, right? Because a lot of those people are on there, the fitness and wellness and beauty, there's a lot of those people looking for that sort of content on Instagram. And likewise, if you're like in more of a B2B industry, you probably should be on LinkedIn. Do you know what? There's some people would say that maybe actually you should not be going to those places because it's saturated. That's a little bit different. We can talk about that in another video in terms of the strategy. Do you want to niche down? But if that's where most of your target audience are hanging out, that's where you should be spending your attention. Of course, it makes sense to also try to hang out in places where others aren't, your competitors aren't, so you are one of the only ones, but only do a bit of that. Like if we're doing the 80-20 split for everything, spend 80% of your effort into the bits where most of your audience are and 20% elsewhere experimenting. You should absolutely do that. So I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, which makes sense. And because all my clients are entrepreneurs. And even before I started running this entrepreneur members club, I was running a creative agency for 10 years. And lots of agencies spent their time on Instagram because Instagram is a great place to showcase your portfolio. We have beautifully designed websites and really nice assets and you can put them there. But think about it. My clients are not shopping for a new agency while scrolling on Instagram. Sure, they might like some stuff, but all you're really doing is inspiring other designers and marketers to do work like you do. You're not attracting clients your way. Whereas on LinkedIn, even though there's a lot of other stuff going on there, that's where most of my clients were hanging out. So I put loads of content on LinkedIn. But now all my clients are entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, that sort of stuff. And so it makes sense to be there too. But also YouTube is a place where a lot of those people hang out. So the first thing you need to do is think, where are my audience hanging out? And go join them. So let's say that's step one. Then step two is essentially deciding how you want to be seen. So if you think about personal branding as a way of say if you ask someone to describe you in the most perfect way you could possibly be described, how would you want them to describe you? Essentially, that definition there is how you should be showing up for yourself all the time. Now, the problem I have with personal branding is that people are creating a different version of themselves, right? They're showing up as like a person which they think they should be, not how they want them to be. And this is where the whole authenticity thing comes in. People are still trying to create caricatures of themselves while claiming to be authentic because they're being vulnerable and sharing some stories, but they're still being a version of themselves that's not really being true to who you are. Now, I am all up for people channeling their inner Sasha Fierce, right? And building their confidence and coming out and being like, right, this is the best version of me. But at the end of the day, it should still be you. And I think this is where I have issues with when it comes to personal branding. And I think this is what is clouding everyone's kind of judgment on it and is becoming a little bit intimidating. So with personal brand, I don't think you should change who you are. I think you should still be you. You should be 100% comfortably you. Think about it. Like if you're creating all this content and you're like showing up in the comments with all your audience and you're being this other version of you, and then you go to meet those people in real life, or even they sign you and go for a consultation, you're a completely different person, they're gonna be so disappointed and never gonna buy from you. So all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. So if you're acting a certain way online all the time, by the time they actually come to buy from you, they won't wanna buy from you. It's misleading, it's misrepresentation. They're not gonna want that. But if you're just being really, truly you, and you're consistently doing that throughout the whole thing, then that's exactly what they're looking for. So you've got to decide who is the you that you want people to see. Like maybe it is a better version of you, but it's still the real you. And maybe, like I said, it's this Sasha Fierce, whoever that version is of you, you gotta channel that and come out as that all the time. Maybe it's a more confident version of you. You're not quite there yet, that's okay. But if you do that, you will eventually gradually get there by building to be that person, and that's okay. And I think that's the difference between this personal branding thing. And I think that if you want to be truly authentic and it's not exhausting, because that's what it is. If you turn up to be someone that's not really you and you have to consistently portray this person, it's exhausting, it's draining, and you're never ever going to have the energy for it. So it's better to be honest from day one and just find out who you truly, truly want to be. But then just think about it, how it all sees as a picture overall.
Building your personal brand in 2025 is pretty easy.
Even though there are all these guides and tricks and hacks to manipulate the algorithm, but really all you need to do is 4 things, and it's pretty simple. So know your values and stick to them. Know who your target audience are and go find them. Show up as your best self and do that consistently, and be authentic. You do these 4 things and you will build your personal brand very, very easily. Remember, it's not about how many followers you have or how often you go viral on social media. Those people with small followings sometimes have a bigger personal brand and a better personal brand than those with the big followings. So building your personal brand is actually about how you come across both offline and online, and it's how you want people to speak about you when you're not in the room. After all, you just want a decent page of search results when someone Googles you, right? So go away, try these few things and let me know how it goes.